Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to begin the discussion of Chapter 5, the valuation of multiple cash flows. Let me present the slides to you. In the last chapter, we have learned how to calculate the present value and the future value of a single cash flow. First of all, we have learned the principle of money has the time value, and then with a formula, present value formula or future value formula, we quantify, we establish a numerical relationship between the present value and the future value. However, in the real world, very often we would receive a series of payments, or we need to make a series of payments. Unlike a single cash flow, these circumstances involve multiple cash flows or a series of cash flows. For example, if you buy and hold bonds, you expect to receive a constant coupon payment periodically, as well as the face value at the end of the bond life. If you buy a stock, every quarter, you expect to receive the dividends. Okay, even if the dividend could be zero, as the board of director announces, but you expect to receive dividends on quarterly basis, right? In the multiple cash flows also exist in the real life. For example, you have to pay the tuition quarter by quarter. Okay, when you make these payments, then there are multiple cash outflows throughout the 4 year of your college, right? If you work, then you expect to receive a salary, on monthly basis or on bi-weekly basis. So anyway, all these issues, all these circumstances involve the multiple cash flows. Then we want to know, how to calculate the future value or present value of a series of cash flows. In the first step, let's look at how to calculate the future value and the present value of a series of cash flows that is not regular, okay, or there is no pattern, in the cash flows. Before we get started, I like to have a review of future value formula. Okay, we know future value equals present value times 1 plus r raised to the power of t. First of all, t is a variable that defines a investment process or a value growing investment process. Okay, or define a whole an investment holding period. Okay. And R is the rate of return per period. Okay. And of course, T and R should be consistent in terms of unit, in terms of units. Okay. Present value, PV present value, that is the dollars invested at the beginning of the holding. Then after you hold your investment for T periods at the rate of return R, then you expect to receive FV. Yeah, you expect to receive an amount of dollars represented by FV. Right? So that is future value formula. We're going to use an example to explain before we look at how to calculate the future value of multiple cash flows. Yeah, I want to show you a rule. Yeah, usually we follow this rule to calculate the future value of multiple cash flows. That is future value of a series of cash flows equals the sum of the future value of each cash flow in the series. Okay, specifically, when we want to calculate the future value of multiple cash flows, first of all, we have to calculate the future value of each cash flow in the series. For each cash flow in the series, we have to get the future value. After we get the future value of each cash flow in the series, we sum them up. The sum is nothing but the future value of a series of cash flows. Okay? Now, we're going to use an example to explain. You are planning to save money to buy a car someday in the future. Your bank account pays the interest rate of 8.5% per year. So yearly interest rate is 8.5%. Okay, and this sentence implicates the interest, the return is compounded on yearly basis. Okay, you currently have $7,000 in the account. And you think you will be able to earn and deposit $4,000, $5,000, and $6,000 respectively in the next 3 years. You predict that the price of your favorite car is $28,000 3 years from now. Now you want to ask yourself, can you afford the car after you will earn and save the money for 3 years? Okay, in the future 3 years, you expect you are going to earn the money, and then at the end of the 3 year, you want to know how much will you have at your bank account after you deposited $6,000 at the end of year 3. Okay, at the end of year 3, you earn and save $6,000. After that, then how much will you have at your bank account? Okay, so this question boils down to a future value problem, right? Future value issue. Okay, we want to find out the future value 3 years from now. Okay. In order to solve this multiple cash flow problem, usually, first of all, we draw a timeline. Okay. Now here it is a timeline. Here is the timeline, and because we look forward into 3 years from now. Okay, so I have a 3-year timeline. Okay, and according to the question, we know currently you have $7,000 in your bank account. So that is a cash flow at the time 0. right? And then at the end of year 1, you earn and save $4,000. Then at the end of year 2, you earn you save $5,000. And then at the end of year 3, you deposit $6,000. Okay. Now we want to find out the how many dollars you will have at the end of year 3 after you deposit $6,000. So that is a future value issue. Okay. So we're going to calculate the future value of each cash flow. Okay. So first of all, we calculate 7,000. The future value of $7,000. 3 years from now, right? 3 years from now. Okay. So how can we do this? We use the future value formula. So that is $7,000 times 1 plus R. What is R? R is here, 8.5. So that should be 0.085, right? Then raised to the power. What is the power? Okay, from this point. So your investment process of this cash flow, $7,000, begins at this point and ends up at this point, right? So there are 3 years. So power is 3. Okay, and then you can do the calculation. You can use a formula. You can use a financial calculator, right? Either way, I believe you can get the same result. Then the result is $8,941.02. Okay, so that is the future value of first cash flow, $7,000. Then we're going to do the same thing. For this one. Of course. Now for this one. The formula is future value equals present value times 1 plus R. R is 0.085, right? Then in this case, what is the power? The investment process begins of $4,000 begins from this point and ends up at this point, right? Between these 2 points, there are 2 years. So the power is second. Okay. Again, no matter which way you're going to use to calculate the result, I believe, you can get the result. The future value of second cash flow, $4,000, is $4,708.90. Okay. Now we're going to do this one. Okay. For this one, I don't want to use the formula. Okay, I want to use the financial calculator. If we use a financial calculator, then what is N? N is 1 year, right? From this point to this point. So there is 1 year. So N is 1 year. What is I over Y? I over Y is 8.5, right? Okay, and then what is the present value? Present value is negative $5,000. Okay, as usual, we define present value as negative, and then PMT, payment is 0. Is 0. Okay. Now you can calculate future value. Okay. So here, yeah, it is here. It is formula. This is the future value, $5,425. All right. Okay. Now, how about this one? You save $6,000 into your bank account. You want to know what is the future value immediately of these $6,000. Just as I said, there is no time for the value of this investment to be growing because holding period is 0. So for these $6,000, yeah, the future value is self. Is self. Okay. After we get the future value of these 4 cash flows, then we sum them up. Okay, from this is the sum of 4 future values. So we sum them up, then we get $74.92. Okay, now you know. At the end of year 3, yeah, your bank account will have $25,074 or $25,075. Is it good enough for you to buy the car? Of course not, right? Yeah, I think, yeah, if you remember, yeah, you predict 3 years from now, your favorite car is worth $28,000. So you are not affordable, yeah, or you cannot afford this car. Okay. Now let's look at the extension of this example. You are planning, yeah, the background information is the same. You are planning to save money to buy a car someday in the future. Yeah, your bank account pays the interest rate at 8.5% per year. You currently have $7,000 in the account, and you think you will be able to earn and deposit 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 respectively in the next 3 years. As the result shows, okay, we know, yeah, you cannot afford the car in 3 years. Then in the following 2 years, you will pursue an MBA without income. Okay, yeah, because you're going to be a full-time student, so you are not going to earn money. Of course, you will not have money to be deposited into your bank account. Okay. You want to know if you can afford the car when you graduate from the MBA program. So you want to know. After 2 years, when you graduated from your MBA program, whether you are able to afford the car or not. Of course, the price would change. Now you predict that the price of your favorite car will go up to $29,000 during your MBA program. Then how much will you have at your bank account at the end of year 4? Right? This is the question. Okay, this is you keep your bank account for additional 2 years until you graduate from your MBA program. Okay, now you want to know how many dollars will you have at your bank account. Okay, again, now this time, yeah, we're going to have a 5-year timeline, right? 5-year timeline. Okay, and now we want to know what is the future value of these 4 cash flows at the end of year 5. The same rule. The future value of a series of cash flows equals the future value of each cash flow in the series. So we're going to calculate the future value of each cash flow and then sum them up. Okay, this time I'm going to calculate the future value of 6,000 first. 6,000 first. Okay, now you can see we can use the formula. Yeah, present value times 1 plus R, 1 plus 0.085. Then raised to the power over 2 to the second power. Why is the second power? Because from this, now let's look at the investment process of this single cash flow. It begins at this point. It ends at this point. There are 2 years, right? So the power is 2. And you can use a financial calculator. You can use the formula, whatever. You can get the same result. That is $7,084.35. Okay, that is the future value of $6,000. Now, let's look at the future value of this one, $5,000. $5,000. Of course, future value equals present value times 1 plus R in the parentheses. That is 1 plus 0.085. Then raised to the third power. Why is third power? Again, for this single cash flow, the investment process begins at this point and ends at this point. So there are 3 years. Okay. If you do the calculation, I believe you can get this number. That is $6,386.45. Okay, that is the future value of $5,000. Now let's look at the future value of $4,000 following the same procedure. Then we can get the future value of $4,000 at the end of year 5 is $5,543.43. Okay, so that is the formula. But again, you can use a financial calculator to get this number. Now, the last one, or the first cash flow, $7,000. Okay, we can do the calculation with the formula. Then I believe it is $10,525.60. Okay, then sum them up. Now we can get the sum. That is $29,518.83. Okay, now you can see you can answer your question, right? After 5 years, after you graduate from your MBA program, can you afford your favorite car? Remember, okay, let's recall the price of your car at the end of year 5. That is $29,000. Now you can see, okay, you can afford your car at the end of year 5. Right? There is no problem. There's no problem. Okay, in this case, I want to point out, okay, after you answer your first question, we can use a shortcut to answer the second question very quickly. We don't have to calculate the future value of each cash flow and then add them up. We can use we can find the answer very quickly, or we can make use of the results from the first question and then get the answer to the second question very quickly. How can we do that? Now let's have a review of the result from the first question. Right, this is what we did. Yeah, this is what we did in the previous slides. Now we know. At the end of year 3, yeah, in your bank account you have $25,074.92, right? Then you keep this amount of dollars in your bank account for another 2 years. Now you want to know how many dollars will you have at the end of year 3. Now, this is a single investment, yeah, single cash flow process, right? Yeah, you at the end of year 3, you invest, or the value of your investment is $25,075. Now you keep this investment for 2 more years. You want to find out the future value of your investment. So this is a single cash flow issue. Then we can calculate the future value of this single cash flow. Of course, in this case, that would be very simple, right? Yeah, we're going to use a formula. If we use a formula, that is right now, $25,075 is the present value, yeah, because this is the value of your investment at the beginning of your investment process or your holding period, right? Your holding period now begins at the end of year 3, ends up at the end of year 5. So that is the present value. Then times 1 plus R, okay? Then raised to the second power, because from the end of year 3 to the end of year 5, there are 2 years, okay? Your investment, yeah, your value growing process lasts for 2 years. And then we can get the same answer. We can get the same results. Okay, we get the same results. So either way, we can get the same result. The conclusion is, okay, at the end of year 3, you can afford, yeah, you have enough money to buy your favorite car. What can we learn from this extension? What can we learn from this extension? For example, you want to know at the end of year 4, how many dollars do you have? How many dollars will you have? Okay, yeah, you don't want to wait for 2 years. Yeah, during your MBA program, you want to use the car as soon as possible. So you want to know at the end of year 4, how many dollars will you have? Or in the other words, you want to find out the future value of these 4 cash flows at the end of year 4. Okay, in this case, of course, we don't have to calculate. Yeah, after we have the results in the first question, we don't have to calculate the future value of these 4 cash flows at the end of year 4, one by one. Okay, we can use this result. Okay, if we use this result, then that should be $25,074, 923,875 times 1 plus 0.085 raised to the first power, right? Because you want to find out the future value at this time point. Okay. Then I don't want to show you the result because I believe you can get these results easily by yourself. and then answer the question. So it is easier for us to find out the future value at this time point. Okay. Here, when you do the calculation, I want to point out, in this case, this number is an intermediate result. Some students, would like to write this number down, on his paper, and then in the calculation, he input this number again. He type in this number into your calculator. No matter, in my opinion, no matter how many decimal places you keep in your paper, it is not accurate enough. The best way is you use the key. You use the store. I think in your calculator you can find in okay. In your calculator, you can find a key, store, STO. That means you can use this key to save a number on the screen. By doing this, you can keep as many decimal places as possible, or as many decimal places as your calculator allows. Okay, whenever you want to use this number, then you can use this key, recall to retrieve the number that you saved. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this. All right. Okay, sorry. That. Well, anyway. For anyway. Okay. Let me see. For example. For example, if you want to save 5, okay, save 5, okay, and then 5 is the number on your screen. Then you click this key, and save this value on, you can choose one key, from 0 to 9. From these 10 keys, you can choose one key to save this number on your screen. Okay, so for example, you want to save this number in the key 0. Okay, so click store and then click 0. And then that means you have saved this number 5 on the key 0. Okay, now whenever you want to use this number, then you click recall, then click key 0. Now you can see this number shows up. So anyway, for any number on the screen, you can save this number in one of these 10 keys from 0 to 9. Okay. And by doing this, you can save the number. You can keep as many decimal places as possible. Whenever you want to reuse this number, then click recall, and then click key that you saved the number. Then the number would show on the screen again. Then you can use it. Okay. So anyway, again, for the intermediate results, don't write the number on your paper, and then re-enter this number into your calculator. It is not efficient. It is not accurate enough. Yeah, it takes your time, right? Yeah, you say, yeah, you write the number down and then you re-enter the number. It takes your time, so it is not efficient. And of course, you can, you cannot save as many decimal places as your calculator does. Okay, so for intermediate results, always using store and recall, yeah, to save the number and retrieve the number. Okay, that is how to calculate the future value of multiple cash flows. We're going to continue to discuss how to calculate the present value of multiple cash flows.